War Master Throck stood before the holographic display in his command chamber, his 4 eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Around him, 20 fleet commanders waited in silence. Their ships filled the space outside, dark shapes against the stars. Over 400 warships, the largest force the Vryn Dominion had ever assembled. "Today we finish what should have ended decades ago," Throck announced. His voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. "The humans have hidden in their corner of space for too long. They think we forgot about them. They think they are safe." One of the commanders, a younger officer named Kelvor, shifted slightly. "War Master, the humans have been unusually quiet. Our intelligence reports no military buildup, no defensive preparations. It seems almost too convenient." Throck's mandibles clicked in what passed for Vryn laughter. "You worry too much, strategist. The humans are weak. They have always been weak. When we first encountered them 40 years ago, we defeated them easily. They sued for peace like frightened children. Since then, they have done nothing but hide and breed on their pathetic colony worlds." The other commanders made sounds of agreement. Everyone remembered the early contact wars. Humanity had fielded primitive ships with outdated weapons. They had lost every major engagement. The peace treaty had been signed within months, with humanity accepting every Vryn demand. "But that was decades ago," Kelvor persisted. "Surely they have improved their defenses." "Improved?" Throck turned his full attention to Kelvor. "Our scouts report the same outdated vessels, the same weak shield technology. The humans are a stagnant species. They do not evolve. They do not adapt. They simply exist, hoping we will leave them alone." He gestured to the holographic display. "Today we stop leaving them alone." The display showed 3 human colony worlds highlighted in red: New Haven, Prosperity Station, and Far Hope. Moderately populated worlds on the edge of human territory. "We will strike all 3 simultaneously," Throck explained. "When they fall within hours, Earth will have no choice but to surrender. This war will be over before their primitive communication systems can even coordinate a response." Kelvor said nothing more. The other commanders voiced their enthusiasm. The meeting ended with plans finalized. In 6 hours, the Vryn fleet would split into 3 groups and jump to human space. On the colony world of New Haven, Governor Byung-ho was reviewing agricultural reports when the alarms began. The sound cut through the peaceful afternoon like a blade. His assistant burst into the office, face pale. "Governor, we have incoming ships. Many ships. They just appeared on our long-range sensors." Byung-ho felt his stomach drop. New Haven had only 12 defense platforms and 3 patrol ships. They were meant to handle pirates, not a military invasion. "How many ships?" "Over 100, sir. They're broadcasting Vryn identification codes." 100 ships. For a small colony like New Haven, it might as well have been 1,000. Byung-ho reached for his communication console. "Get me Earth Defense Command. Emergency priority." But even as he sent the message, he watched the tactical display update. The Vryn ships were not slowing down. They were not broadcasting demands. They were simply attacking. New Haven's defense platforms opened fire, their plasma cannons lighting up space. A few Vryn ships took damage. Then the return fire came. Hundreds of weapons strikes, coordinated and overwhelming. Within 15 minutes, every defense platform was destroyed. The 3 patrol ships tried to fight back and died just as quickly. Byung-ho sent one last message before the Vryn ships entered orbital bombardment positions. "They're here. We can't hold. Tell Earth." The transmission cut off as the first orbital strikes hit the ground. At Earth Defense Command, Admiral J. Hwan received 3 emergency transmissions simultaneously. New Haven under attack. Prosperity Station under attack. Far Hope under attack. The command center erupted into controlled chaos as officers scrambled to assess the situation. Within an hour, the news was clear. All 3 colonies were lost. The Vryn had struck with overwhelming force. Civilian casualties were already in the thousands. The emergency council convened within 2 hours. Politicians filled the chamber, their voices rising in panic and anger. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others called for diplomatic negotiations. A few even suggested surrender. Admiral J. Hwan sat quietly through it all, his weathered face showing no emotion. He was 70 years old, had served in Earth's military for 50 of them, and had been waiting for this moment for 15 years. "Admiral," one of the counselors addressed him directly. "Why aren't you responding? The Vryn have just destroyed 3 of our colonies." Jae-Hwan stood slowly. "I am aware, Counselor. Then what are you doing about it? We need a military response. We have one, Jae-hwan said calmly. He touched a control on his console. I am activating it now. A single message transmitted from Earth Defense Command encoded with military encryption that no one in the council chamber could read. The message traveled through quantum communication channels, reaching its destination instantly. Captain Dae-won was sleeping when the alert chimed. He woke immediately, years of military training bringing him to full awareness in seconds. He sat up in his quarters aboard the Silent Observer and read the message on his personal display. 3 words. Execute Protocol Silence. Dae-won had trained for this moment for 15 years. He had hoped it would never come, but now that it had, he felt only a cold, clear sense of purpose. He dressed quickly and made his way to the bridge. His crew was already assembling, summoned by the same alert. Lieutenant Hana stood at the tactical station, her dark eyes sharp and focused. Engineer Tae-sung was running diagnostics at his console. Dr. Yura sat at communications, her fingers moving across holographic controls. Protocol silence, Dae-won announced as he took his captain's chair. Confirm all stations ready. Tactical ready, Hana reported. Engineering ready, Tae-sung confirmed. Communications ready, Yura added. Dae-won nodded. Activate stealth systems. Full quantum shroud. Prepare for deep space insertion. The Silent Observer was not like other human ships. It was smaller, faster, and carried technology that officially did not exist. Its hull could bend light and sensor waves around itself. Its engines left no trace in quantum space. It could enter enemy territory and remain completely invisible. Hana looked at her captain. Sir, what are our orders? We're going into Vryn space, Dae-won said. We're going to follow their fleet. We're going to watch them. And we're going to learn everything about their military capabilities. Just observe? Tae-sung asked. What about the colonies? What about fighting back? Dae-won allowed himself a small smile. Engineer, we've been fighting back for 15 years. The Vryn just don't know it yet. The ship powered up its unique engines. Space around them shimmered and twisted. The Silent Observer slipped into quantum tunnels and disappeared. Back at Vryn Command, Throck celebrated his easy victories. His fleet had suffered minimal losses. The human colonies had fallen exactly as predicted. Now he prepared for the final strike against Earth itself. Kelvor approached him again. Warmaster, I must report something unusual. What now, strategist? The humans have sent no military response, no counterattack, no fleet movements at all. They are completely silent. Throck made a dismissive gesture. They are paralyzed with fear. As expected, perhaps, Kelvor said carefully. But in every previous conflict, even when losing, the humans always responded. They always tried to fight back. This silence is unprecedented. You see shadows where there is only light, Throck said. The humans know they cannot win. They are preparing to surrender. This is good news, not bad. Kelvor wanted to argue, but stopped himself. Throck would not listen. Instead, he returned to his station and began reviewing every piece of intelligence they had on human military capability. Something felt wrong. Something felt very wrong. In deep space, the Silent Observer moved through the darkness like a ghost. Its sensors were passive, detecting everything while emitting nothing. On the bridge, Dr. Yura intercepted a Vryn transmission. Captain, I'm reading their communication traffic. They're gathering their fleet at their home system. They're planning to attack Earth directly. Dae-won studied the data. How long until they're ready? Approximately 4 days. Good. Dae-won looked at his crew. That gives us time. Hana, plot a course directly into Vryn space. We're going to follow them home. Sir? Hana looked surprised. That's deep into enemy territory. That's exactly where we need to be, Dae-won said. The Vryn think they're hunting us. Let them keep thinking that. By the time they realize the truth, it will be far too late. The Silent Observer adjusted course, its quantum engines carrying it silently toward the heart of Vryn Dominion space. Behind them, Earth remained quiet. No fleets launched. No declarations of war broadcast. Just silence. The Vryn thought this meant weakness. They thought it meant fear. They were wrong. The Silent Observer drifted through Vryn space like a whisper in the dark. For 6 days, it had followed the enemy fleet without being detected even once. Captain Dae-won stood on the bridge watching the massive Vryn warships on his display. They moved in standard formation, confident and careless. They have no idea we're here, Lieutenant Hana said quietly. She stood at tactical. her screen showing detailed scans of every Vryn vessel. Their sensors pass right over us. The quantum shroud is working perfectly. Engineer Tae-sung looked up from his station. Captain, we've been running stealth systems for 6 days straight. I need to run maintenance checks soon. If we push too long, we risk system failure. How long can we maintain current operations? Tae-won asked. Another week, maybe 10 days. After that, I'll need at least 12 hours to recalibrate everything. Understood? Tae-won nodded. Mark it in your schedule. We'll find a quiet spot in deep space when the time comes. A young ensign named Bo-ra approached Tae-sung's station. She was new to the crew, barely 6 months out of academy training. Engineer, can I ask something? Go ahead, Tae-sung said while adjusting power distribution levels. Why do we have this technology? I mean, the academy never mentioned anything like quantum shrouds or these kinds of stealth systems. Are we the only ship that has them? Tae-sung glanced at Daewon, who gave a slight nod. The engineer turned back to Bo-ra. Ensign, what do you know about the First Contact Wars? We lost, Bo-ra said. The Vryn defeated us in every major battle. We had to sign a peace treaty and give up territorial claims. That's right. And what happened after that? Bo-ra frowned. We rebuilt. We focused on our colonies. We tried to avoid conflict. That's what the official records say, Tae-sung agreed. That's what the galaxy thinks happened. But there's another story, one that only military command knows. He pointed at the Vryn ships on the display. Those aliens beat us badly 40 years ago. They had better ships, better weapons, better shields. We were completely outmatched. So Earth's military leaders made a decision. They asked themselves one question. Why did we lose? Because we were less advanced, Bo-ra said. Exactly. So they decided to fix that. But here's the clever part. They realized something important. If we started building better ships right away, everyone would see us doing it. The Vryn would see. Other alien species would see. They would all know we were getting stronger. They might attack us before we were ready. Hana joined the conversation. So instead, we pretended to stay weak. We kept building the same old ships, the same old weapons. On the outside, nothing changed. But secretly, deep underground on Earth and Mars, military research facilities were developing completely new technology. For 40 years? Bo-ra asked in disbelief. For 40 years, Daewon confirmed. The galaxy forgot about humanity. They thought we accepted our place as a minor species, weak, irrelevant, not worth worrying about. He smiled coldly. That's exactly what we wanted them to think. Tae-sung continued. While the Vryn used the same technology for decades, we developed quantum processing, advanced AI targeting systems, energy shields that can absorb twice the damage of anything the Vryn have, and weapons that can punch through their armor like it's paper. And the stealth systems, Hana added. The Vryn don't even have theories about how our quantum shroud works. To them, we might as well be using magic. Bo-ra looked stunned. So we've been stronger than them for years? For at least a decade, Daewon said. Maybe longer, but we never revealed it. We kept appearing weak. We let them underestimate us. He turned back to the main display, and now they've made the mistake of attacking us again. Dr. Ura spoke up from the communications station. Captain, I'm intercepting new Vryn transmissions. War Master Throck is calling a full assembly at their home system. It looks like they're gathering for the final attack on Earth. How many ships? Daewon asked. Ura's expression was grim. Over 400, sir. Every major warship in the Vryn fleet. The bridge fell silent. 400 warships was an enormous force, more than enough to overwhelm Earth's visible defenses. If the Vryn truly believed humanity was still weak, they were bringing enough power to guarantee absolute victory. They're pulling ships from everywhere, Ura continued. Even their home defense forces. They're completely committing to this invasion. Kelvor, the Vryn strategist, stood in War Master Throck's command chamber. He had been reviewing intelligence reports for days, and his concerns were growing stronger. War Master, I must speak with you about the humans. Throck was studying a holographic map of Earth's solar system. What about them, strategist? They continue to do nothing. Their silence confirms their weakness. That's what troubles me, Kelvor said. I've been reviewing our historical data. In every previous conflict with humans, even when losing badly, they always responded to attacks. They always sent ships, even if those ships were destroyed. They always fought back. Perhaps they have finally learned wisdom, Throck suggested. Or perhaps they are planning something. Kelvor brought up his own display. War Master, look at this. After the first contact wars, human communication traffic increased dramatically. But in the last 5 years, it has decreased by 70%. They've gone almost completely silent on all channels. They have nothing to say, Throck said dismissively. Or they have developed better communication methods that we cannot detect. Kelvor highlighted another section. Also look at their shipyard activity. For decades, they built ships at a steady rate. But 15 years ago, their visible construction dropped by half. Where are those resources going? You suggest they are building secret military forces? Throck's tone suggested he found this amusing. I suggest it's possible, War Master. The humans are clever. We have always known this. What if they have been deceiving us? Throck's mandibles clicked in annoyance. Strategist, you give them too much credit. Yes, humans are clever in small ways. They are good at solving problems, at adapting to new situations. But they are not strategic thinkers. They do not plan decades ahead. They react. They survive. They do not thrive. With respect, War Master, how do we know this? We have not closely monitored them for decades. We assumed they were not a threat. They are not a threat. Throck's voice rose. I have committed our entire fleet to this invasion. High Prelate Xanos himself has authorized it. We attack Earth in 2 days. This discussion is over. Kelvor bowed and left, but his concerns remained. Something was wrong. He could feel it. Aboard the Silent Observer, Captain Daewon received a priority message. It was encrypted with the highest level of military security. Only he and Admiral Jae-hwan had the codes to read it. He read it twice, then called his senior officers to his ready room. Hana, Taesung, and Yura gathered around the small table. I've received new orders, Daewon said. We're to proceed to the Vrin home system and conduct detailed reconnaissance. That's deep into their territory, Hana said. Right to their capital world. Yes, and that's where their fleet is gathering. Daewon pulled up a star map. Here's what we know. The Vrin have pulled almost all their military forces to one location. They're leaving their home system minimally defended. Understanding dawned on Hana's face. They're leaving themselves vulnerable. Exactly. They're so focused on attacking Earth that they've forgotten to protect their own home. Daewon looked at each of them. Our orders are to map every defense installation, every weapon platform, every ship in their home system. We're to find their weaknesses and report back to Admiral Jae-hwan. And then, Taesung asked, and then Phase 2 begins. Daewon's expression was hard. The Vrin wanted to attack our home while we couldn't defend it. We're going to do the same to them. Yura looked troubled. Captain, we're talking about attacking their homeworld. That's an escalation beyond anything we've done before. They escalated when they killed thousands of our colonists. Daewon replied. They escalated when they decided humanity was weak enough to destroy. We're not starting this war, Doctor. We're ending it. The Silent Observer changed course, heading directly toward the heart of the Vrin Dominion. Its quantum engines carried it silently through space, invisible to every sensor array it passed. 2 days later, the ship entered the Vrin home system. Daewon stood on the bridge, watching the massive planet rotating below. Cities covered the surface. Orbital stations hung in clusters. But the military defenses were surprisingly light. Maybe 20 warships, a few dozen defense platforms, nothing that could stand against a concentrated attack. They really did strip everything, Hana said in amazement. They've left their home almost undefended. Yura began her work, hacking into Vrin communication networks. The quantum shroud didn't just hide the ship. It allowed them to tap into enemy systems without being detected. Within hours, she had downloaded fleet compositions, defense codes, and strategic plans. Captain, you need to see this, Yura said urgently. I've accessed Throck's personal communications. They're planning to attack Earth in 36 hours. They expect to force a surrender within a week. Daewon composed a message to Admiral Jae-hwan. He included all the intelligence they had gathered, all the weaknesses they had found, and a confirmation that the Vrin home system was vulnerable. War Master Throck stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the fleet assemble. 412 warships, the full might of the Vrin Dominion, prepared for the final jump to human space. This would be the largest military operation in Vrin history. When it was over, humanity would be nothing more than a footnote in galactic records. All ships report ready, War Master, Kelvor announced. The strategist had stopped voicing his concerns. Throck had made it clear that doubt was no longer welcome. Excellent. Initiate jump sequence. Today we finish what we started 40 years ago. The massive fleet activated their jump drives. Space twisted and folded. In a flash of distorted light, 400 ships vanished, heading toward Earth. What Throck didn't know was that space near his homeworld was about to become very crowded. Captain Daewon watched his sensors as the Vryn fleet departed. They're gone. The home system is now defended by minimal forces only. Lieutenant Hana pulled up a tactical display. 19 warships, 37 defense platforms, and various civilian vessels. Against what we have coming, they might as well be unarmed. Captain, Dr. Yura said from communications, I'm detecting quantum tunnel openings. Multiple signatures. Very large ones, Daewon smiled. Right on time. Admiral J. Huan never misses his mark. The space around the Vryn homeworld began to shimmer. Reality itself seemed to tear open in 30 different places. From each opening emerged a human warship, and these were nothing like the vessels the galaxy had seen before. They were sleek and angular, built with materials that seemed to absorb light. Their hulls featured adaptive armor plating that shifted and changed. Weapon ports lined their surfaces, far more than any ship their size should carry, and their energy signatures were enormous, indicating power plants decades ahead of known technology. At the center of this new fleet appeared the flagship, a massive vessel that dwarfed everything around it. On its hull in clear letters was its name, Determination. On the bridge of the Determination, Admiral J. Huan studied the tactical displays. He was a thin man with gray hair and steady eyes that had seen too many wars. But today those eyes held something cold and final. All ships, this is Admiral J. Huan. Execute Phase 2 as planned. Target only military installations. Civilian structures are not to be harmed. We are not monsters. We are humans, and we will show them what that means. The 30 human warships moved into position. Their advanced sensors scanned every military target in the system. Their AI-enhanced targeting computers locked onto defense platforms, shipyards, and communication satellites. On the surface of the Vryn homeworld, alarms began screaming. In the government complex, High Prelate Xanos watched in horror as unknown vessels appeared on orbital displays. What are those ships? He demanded. Where did they come from? A junior officer checked the sensor data, his voice shaking. High Prelate, they're broadcasting human identification codes. Impossible. Human ships are primitive. These vessels are advanced beyond anything we've seen. Nevertheless, they are human, High Prelate, and they are targeting our defense grid. Xanos felt genuine fear for the first time in his long life. Get me War Master Throck immediately! We cannot, High Prelate. All long-range communication relays are being jammed. We cannot reach the fleet. Above the planet, the 19 Vryn defense ships scrambled to respond. They formed up and accelerated toward the human fleet, weapons charging. They were brave. They were loyal. They were about to learn how thoroughly outmatched they were. The human ships didn't even bother with fancy maneuvers. They simply turned to face the approaching Vryn vessels and fired. Beams of coherent energy, far more powerful than standard plasma cannons, lanced out. The Vryn shields absorbed the first hits, but the second shots went straight through. Vryn warships began exploding, their hulls torn apart by weapons they had no defense against. Within 5 minutes, all 19 Vryn ships were destroyed. The human fleet had not taken a single hit in return. Aboard the Silent Observer, Captain Daewon watched the battle unfold. Hana, your assessment? The Vryn defense ships never stood a chance, sir. Our weapons cut through their shields like they weren't even there. And our shields absorbed their return fire without any strain at all. Good. Taesung, how are our systems holding up? All green, Captain. Quantum Shroud is stable. We could stay hidden here for weeks if needed. Yura, I want you to hack into the Vryn planetary communication system. I need to broadcast a message. Dr. Yura's fingers moved across her console. Working on it, sir. Their security is decent, but nothing our AI can't handle. Give me 2 minutes. While she worked, Admiral J. Huan's fleet moved to the next phase. The human ships spread out, each one targeting specific military installations on the surface and in orbit. Defense platforms that had protected the Vryn homeworld for centuries suddenly found themselves under attack from weapons that seemed impossible. The platforms fired back desperately. Missile salvos launched, plasma cannons discharged. Energy weapons filled the space around the human ships with destructive force. Nothing got through. The human shields held easily, and one by one the defense platforms exploded. Captain, I'm in their system, Yura announced. You can broadcast whenever you're ready. Daewon nodded. Patch me through to the entire planet. All channels. I want every Vrin to hear this. A moment later, his voice echoed across the Vrin homeworld, interrupting every communication device, every screen, every data feed. People of the Vrin Dominion. This is Captain Daywan of the human stealth ship Silent Observer. You may not see my vessel. Your sensors cannot detect us. We have been in your space for 8 days, watching your fleet prepare to attack our home. He paused. Your War Master made a mistake. He thought we were weak. He thought we were easy prey. He was wrong. On the surface, millions of Vrin stopped what they were doing to listen. In the government complex, High Prelate Xanos listened with growing dread. Your fleet is on its way to Earth right now, Day One continued. They think they will find a defenseless world. They will not. But that is not why I am speaking to you. I am speaking because your leaders need to understand something very important. You came to our home to destroy it. We have come to yours to deliver a message. Admiral Jaehwan's fleet finished destroying the last defense platform. Orbital space around the Vrin homeworld was now completely under human control. Jaehwan opened a channel directly to the Vrin government complex. His face appeared on every screen in the building. High Prelate Xanos, I am Admiral Jaehwan of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are probably wondering how we developed this technology. You are probably wondering why you never detected it. The answer is simple. We have been planning for this moment for 15 years. Xanos found his voice. This is an act of war.
You are attacking our homeworld.
No, High Prelate. You attacked our colonies. You killed thousands of our civilians. You sent your entire fleet to destroy Earth itself. We are responding to your act of war. Jaehwan's expression was cold. And now you will learn what happens when you underestimate humanity. What do you want? Xanos demanded, though he already knew the answer would not be pleasant. Unconditional surrender. Immediate withdrawal of all Vrin forces from human space. Reparations for the colonies you destroyed. And one more thing. Jaehwan leaned forward. You will help us send a message to the rest of the galaxy. A message that says very clearly, do not attack humanity. You expect me to surrender our entire civilization because you have superior weapons? Xanos tried to sound defiant, but his voice shook. I expect you to surrender because you have no other choice. Jaehwan gestured, and the tactical display appeared on Xanos' screen. It showed human ships positioned over every major military installation on the planet. We can destroy your military infrastructure in minutes. Your shipyards, your weapon factories, your command centers, all of them. We will not target civilians, but your ability to wage war will be erased. War Master Throck will return with the full fleet, Xanos said desperately. No, he won't. Jaehwan smiled grimly. He is walking into a trap at Earth. He will not be returning. And even if he did, he would find his home already defeated. Xanos looked at his advisors. They all knew the truth. They had no way to fight back. Their most powerful forces were gone. Their home defenses were destroyed. They were helpless. How long do I have to decide? Xanos asked quietly. 1 hour, Jaehwan replied. After that, we begin targeting military installations. You have 1 hour to save your people's ability to rebuild. Use it wisely. The communication ended. Xanos collapsed into his seat, suddenly feeling very old. Aboard the Silent Observer, Yura reported new activity. Captain, I'm detecting increased communication traffic from the surface. Also, I'm picking up some interesting data. It seems several Vrin civilian ships are trying to leave the system. Trying to warn other Vrin forces, Hana suggested. Probably, Day One said. Yura, do we have orders regarding civilian ships? Yura checked her terminal. Admiral Jaehwan's orders specify military targets only. Civilian vessels are not to be engaged unless they pose a direct threat. Then we let them go, Daewon decided. If they want to run, that's their choice. Tae-sung looked up. Sir, if they escape, they'll tell everyone what happened here. They'll warn the galaxy about our real capabilities. War Master Throck felt confident as his fleet dropped out of quantum jump at the edge of Earth's solar system. 412 warships appeared in perfect formation, an unstoppable force ready to crush humanity's homeworld. Around him on the bridge, his officers prepared for what they expected to be a quick, easy battle. Sensors report, Throck commanded. Scanning now, War Master. Detecting defensive positions around Earth. I count approximately 40 human vessels in defensive formations. Throck's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. 40 ships against 400. They are barely even trying to defend themselves. Kelvor studied the sensor data more carefully. Something bothered him about those readings, but he couldn't identify what. War Master, request permission to conduct detailed scans before we advance. Denied. We will not waste time with excessive caution. All ships advance on Earth standard attack formation. The massive Vryn fleet began moving deeper into the solar system. They passed the orbit of Mars, then approached Earth's defensive perimeter. The human ships ahead made no move to retreat. They simply waited. They are fools, Throck declared. They think 40 ships can stop us. On Earth, in a hidden command bunker deep beneath the surface, Admiral J. Huan watched the Vryn fleet approach. He stood in a massive operations center filled with tactical displays and communication stations. Around him, hundreds of officers coordinated Earth's defense. Admiral, the Vryn fleet has entered the outer system, an officer reported. They are advancing in standard formation. No signs they suspect our trap. Good, J. Huan said calmly. Let them come closer. I want them completely committed before we show them the truth. A younger officer looked nervous. Sir, what if they detect our hidden platforms? They won't. The same quantum stealth technology that hid the silent observer for 8 days in Vryn space is hiding our weapons platforms now. To their sensors, we only have 40 ships. J. Huan smiled coldly. They are about to learn that what sensors show and what reality is can be very different things. Throck's fleet reached Earth's orbital space. The 40 human ships still had not retreated. In fact, they were moving forward to engage. They dare to attack us? Throck was almost amused. This will be over in minutes. All ships opened fire when in range. But before the Vryn could fire, something impossible happened. The space around them suddenly filled with new contacts. Hundreds of weapons platforms appeared on sensors, materializing seemingly from nowhere. They had been there all along, hidden by technology the Vryn couldn't detect. And they were all firing. Energy beams lanced out from every direction. The Vryn fleet found itself surrounded by a defensive grid far more powerful than anything they had imagined. The weapons weren't the simple plasma cannons they expected. These were advanced energy weapons that hit with devastating force. Vryn shields began failing. Ships took damage. Crews died. What is happening? Throck demanded as his flagship shook from multiple impacts. Kelvor worked frantically at his station. War Master, were surrounded by weapons platforms. They were hidden from our sensors. These energy signatures are far beyond what we believed human technology could achieve. How many platforms? Over 300, War Master. And their weapons are cutting through our shields like they don't exist. Throck felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Genuine fear. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Return fire! The Vryn fleet tried to fight back. 400 ships fired their weapons at the nearest human targets. Some hits connected. Some platforms were destroyed. But for every platform the Vryn eliminated, 10 more fired back. The 40 human ships that had seemed so vulnerable now revealed their true power. These were not the outdated vessels the Vryn expected. These were advanced warships with shields and weapons that matched the hidden platforms. They moved with incredible speed and precision, their AI-enhanced targeting systems finding weak points in Vryn formations. A human cruiser named Defiance tore through a Vryn battle group, its beam weapons destroying 5 enemy ships in as many seconds. Another vessel, the Retribution, disabled an entire Vryn squadron with weapons that overloaded their power systems, leaving them helpless. War Master, we've lost 40 ships already, Kelvor shouted over the sounds of damage alerts. Their weapons are too powerful. Our shields cannot hold against them. Throck tried to think clearly, but everything was happening too fast. This was supposed to be an easy victory. Humanity was supposed to be weak. How did they develop this technology? Where did these ships come from? I don't know, War Master. But we need to retreat. We cannot win this battle, no. Throck's pride wouldn't accept defeat. We are the Vryn Dominion. We do not retreat from inferior species. With respect, War Master, these humans are not inferior. Look at the tactical display. They are destroying us, Throck looked. The display showed the truth he didn't want to accept. In 15 minutes of combat, the Vryn had lost over 70 ships. The humans had lost maybe 10 platforms. The casualty ratio was completely one-sided. Try to contact the homeworld, Throck ordered. Request reinforcements. Kelvor tried multiple communication frequencies. War Master, I cannot reach home. All long-range channels are being jammed. We are cut off. That was when Throck began to truly understand. The humans hadn't just prepared a defense. They had prepared a trap. A complete total trap designed to destroy his entire fleet. And somewhere in the back of his mind, a terrible thought emerged. If Earth was this well defended, what was happening at the Vryn homeworld? Aboard the human flagship Guardian, Captain Mi-sun coordinated the defense with ruthless efficiency. She had trained for this battle for 10 years, running simulation after simulation. Now the real thing was going exactly as planned. Focus fire on their command ships, she ordered. Take out their leadership and coordination. Make them scatter. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Dong-woo, highlighted priority targets, marking 3 Vryn command carriers. They're trying to reorganize their fleet. Weapons, you have your targets. Fire at will. The Guardian and 5 other human capital ships concentrated their fire on the Vryn command vessels. The enemy ships tried to evade, but human AI-enhanced targeting predicted their movements. Within 2 minutes, all 3 command carriers were burning wreckage. The Vryn fleet began to lose cohesion. Without clear commands, individual ship captains made their own decisions. Some tried to fight, some tried to run. None succeeded. Mi-sun opened a general broadcast channel. Vryn fleet, this is Captain Mi-sun of Earth Defense Forces. You have entered our space with hostile intent. You attacked our colonies. You came to destroy our home. Now you know the truth. Humanity is not weak. We never were. We just let you believe it. On Throck's flagship, the bridge was in chaos. Damage reports came in constantly. Half the ship's systems were failing. Life support was at 60%. Weapons were offline. War Master, we must retreat, Kelvor pleaded. We have lost over 150 ships. If we stay, we will all die. Throck finally accepted reality. Order all ships to retreat. Emergency jump, any heading, just get us away from here. But the humans had planned for that too. The weapons platforms had been targeting not just hulls and shields, but specifically the jump drive systems. As Vryn ships tried to activate their quantum drives, many found them too damaged to function. Those ships that could still jump began to disappear, fleeing in random directions. Those that couldn't were left behind, helpless targets for human weapons. Throck's flagship was one of the ships whose jump drive failed. Jump drive is offline, the engineer reported. We are trapped. Admiral Jae-hwan watched the battle from Earth. The Vryn fleet was in full retreat, leaving behind over 200 destroyed or disabled ships. It was the most one-sided victory in human military history. Cease fire on ships attempting to flee, he ordered. Target only those that remain in our space. An officer looked surprised. Sir, we could destroy them all. Why let any escape? Because I want survivors, Jae-hwan explained. I want Vryn who will return home and tell everyone what happened here. I want the galaxy to know that attacking humanity is a fatal mistake. The remaining Vryn ships in Earth orbit surrendered. Over 50 vessels, including Throck's flagship, lowered their shields and powered down weapons. They had no choice. Human Marines boarded the Vryn flagship. They found Throck on his bridge, sitting in his command chair with the look of someone whose entire world had collapsed. When the Marines approached, he didn't resist. War Master Throck, the Marine commander said through a translator, you are under arrest for war crimes against humanity. Throck looked up at the human soldiers. They were smaller than Vryn, physically weaker in most ways. But they had just defeated the most powerful fleet the Dominion had ever assembled. How, he asked quietly. How did you become so strong? We were always strong, the Marine replied. You just never bothered to look closely enough. Throck was taken to a holding cell. As he walked through the human ship's corridors, he saw technology that made Vryn systems look primitive. In his cell, he was given access to communication channels. He tried to send a message home, a warning to never underestimate humanity again, but there was no response. All channels to the Vryn homeworld were silent. 3 weeks after the war ended, Dr. Yura sat at her station aboard the Silent Observer, monitoring communication channels across the galaxy. What she heard was fascinating. The story of humanity's victory had spread everywhere, carried by Vryn survivors and independent observers who had detected the massive energy signatures from the battles. Captain, you should hear this, she said, routing an intercepted transmission to the bridge speakers. A Vryn civilian's voice came through, speaking in panicked tones. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. The humans have weapons far beyond anything we imagined. Their ships are faster, their shields are stronger, their weapons cut through our best defenses like they're nothing. We lost over 200 warships at Earth, 200, and at our homeworld they took control in less than an hour. We never stood a chance. Captain Daewon listened quietly. How many of these broadcasts are you detecting? Dozens per hour, sir. Vryn survivors are spreading the word throughout this entire sector. Some are warning their own people. Others are warning everyone. The message is always the same: never attack humanity. Lieutenant Hana looked up from her tactical station. Good, let them talk. The more species that hear this, the safer our colonies will be. The silent observer had spent the last 3 weeks hunting down scattered Vryn military units. Most had surrendered immediately when contacted. A few had tried to run. Only 2 had been foolish enough to fight, and those engagements had ended quickly. Now they were tracking one final group. A small Vryn fleet of civilian transport ships that had fled their homeworld during the initial attack. Sensors showed 6 vessels all heading toward the edge of Dominion space. Are they armed? Daewon asked. Hana checked her scans. Negative, sir. Pure civilian vessels. Looks like families fleeing the war. Any signs they're carrying military intelligence or strategic data? No, sir. Just refugees trying to escape. Daewon made a decision. Let them go. Plot a course back to Earth. Our mission is complete. Engineer Tae-sung looked surprised. Sir, our orders were to eliminate all potential threats. Those ships could warn other species about our capabilities. They're civilians, not soldiers, Daewon said firmly. And frankly, I want them to spread the warning. The more people who know what happens when you attack humanity, the fewer attacks we'll face in the future. Tae-sung nodded, accepting the logic. But Hana spoke up. Captain, Admiral Jae-hwan's original orders were specific. No witnesses who could reveal our full military capabilities. These civilian ships are broadcasting constantly. They're telling everyone exactly what they saw. Daewon turned to face his tactical officer. Hana, what do you think we should do? She was quiet for a moment. Honestly, sir, I think you're making the right call. We've won the war. We've proven our strength. Killing refugees won't make us any safer. It'll just make us the monsters the Vryn claimed we were. Agreed. Daewon composed a message to Admiral Jae-hwan, reporting that all military targets had been neutralized, and civilian vessels were being allowed to depart freely. He sent it through quantum channels and waited for a response. The reply came back within an hour. It was brief. Mission complete. Return to Earth, well done. Daewon allowed himself a small smile. Admiral Jae-hwan had known all along what decision his captains would make. The orders had been a test, perhaps, or maybe just giving them the freedom to follow their conscience. Set course for home, Daewon ordered. Maximum speed. On Earth, Admiral Jae-hwan addressed the United Earth Government Assembly. The chamber was filled with representatives from every nation and colony. They had come to hear about the war's aftermath and humanity's future. 3 weeks ago, the Vryn Dominion attacked our colonies. Jae-hwan began. They killed thousands of our people. They came to our homeworld with the intention of forcing our complete surrender. Instead, they suffered the worst military defeat in their history. The assembly chamber was completely silent. Everyone knew the basic facts, but few understood the details. The Vryn believed we were weak because we allowed them to believe it. For 40 years, we maintained outdated ships and visible defenses that appeared primitive. Meanwhile, in secret facilities on Earth and Mars, we developed technology far beyond anything the galaxy possessed. We did this deliberately. We did this because we learned an important lesson from our early defeats. In galactic politics, being underestimated is a strategic advantage. One representative stood. Admiral, why wasn't the government informed of this? Why were we kept in the dark? Because government information leaks, Jae-hwan said bluntly. If politicians knew about our real capabilities, that information would eventually reach our enemies. The secret needed to be absolute. So military command operated independently, with funding hidden in defense budgets and projects concealed as civilian research. Another representative spoke up. Some are calling this a military coup. You operated without civilian oversight for decades. We operated to protect humanity, Jae-hwan corrected. Every credit spent, every system developed, every ship built was for one purpose, to ensure that when our enemies attacked us again, they would regret it completely. He paused. And they do regret it. The Vryn Dominion has surrendered unconditionally. They are paying massive reparations. Their military has been reduced to 10% of its former size. And every species in the galaxy now knows that attacking humanity is suicide. The representative pressed further. But at what cost? You've made humanity into a military power that others will fear. Good, Jae-hwan said coldly. Let them fear us. Fear prevents war. The Vryn didn't fear us, so they attacked us. Now they fear us, and they never will again. The assembly debated for hours, but in the end they accepted what had been done. The program had worked. Humanity was safe. That was what mattered. At the Vryn homeworld, High Prelate Xanos signed the final treaty documents. The terms were harsh but not cruel. The Vryn military would be reduced. Reparations would be paid over 20 years. And most importantly, they would publicly acknowledge human sovereignty over all current human territories. A human diplomatic officer named Jiwoo stood across from Xanos. Your people made a mistake, High Prelate. They underestimated us, but you have a chance to learn from that mistake. What lesson would you have us learn? Xanos asked bitterly. That strength comes in many forms. You thought we were weak because our ships looked outdated. You didn't consider that maybe we wanted you to think that. You didn't consider that maybe we were hiding our true power deliberately. Jiwoo handed him a data pad. This contains a list of technologies we've offered to share with your scientists. Medical technology, agricultural systems, water purification methods. None of it military. All of it useful. Xanos looked at the list in confusion. Why would you help us after defeating us? Because we don't want enemies. We want neighbors who respect us. Show your people that humanity is not cruel. Show them that we punish aggression but reward peace. Jiwoo stood to leave. Rebuild your civilization, High Prelate. Just remember what happens if you ever threaten us again. After Jiwoo left, Xanos read through the technology list. The medical systems alone could save millions of Vryn lives. The agricultural methods could increase food production by 30%. The humans were offering gifts that would dramatically improve Vryn quality of life. He finally understood. The humans weren't just militarily superior. They were strategically brilliant. By offering these technologies, they were making it politically impossible for future Vryn leaders to justify attacking humanity. Why attack the species helping you prosper? Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. The Council was a loose organization of spacefaring species that coordinated trade, diplomacy, and occasionally mediated disputes. They had never paid much attention to humanity before. Now they had no choice. Ambassador Seojin represented humanity at the council meeting. She was a career diplomat with decades of experience negotiating with alien species. Today she faced a chamber filled with curious and frightened aliens. The council demands an explanation, said Councillor Vrexis, a tall reptilian from the Corvin Federation. How did humanity develop such advanced technology without anyone noticing? Seojin smiled calmly. We developed it the same way anyone develops technology: research, testing, innovation. The difference is that we chose not to announce our progress. You hid it deliberately, accused another counselor, a Thraxian named Quillix. That is deception. It is survival, Seojin corrected. 40 years ago, humanity was attacked repeatedly by species who thought we were easy targets. We lost those wars. We signed unfavorable treaties. We accepted humiliation, but we also learned. We learned that in galactic politics, appearing weak while building strength is the best defense. You've disrupted the balance of power, Vrexis argued. The Vryn were one of the dominant military forces. Now they are defeated. This will have consequences. The consequences are clear, Seojin said firmly. Species that attack humanity will be defeated. Species that trade peacefully with humanity will prosper. We are not interested in conquest or empire. We simply want to be left alone. And now everyone knows what happens if they don't leave us alone.